Hello everyone, I'm the Enforcer, and welcome to the breaking news. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and support us on Patreon, link in the description below. Today we've been able to get breaking news from the Korean Peninsula, as the North Korean government has now declared that all road and railroad crossings across the demilitarized zone are to be shut down, with reports coming today that massive explosions have begun to erupt around the entirety of the border, as these road and bridge crossings have been destroyed by the North Korean government using a large amount of explosives. At the exact same time, the Republic of Korea, also called South Korea, is taking direct military armed action against North Korea and has fired shots towards North Korea just a little while ago near the maritime demilitarized zone. We've been able to get major news out of this area today, and not only that, we have also been able to hear of a major amphibious operation being conducted by the People's Liberation Army near to the area of Taiwan, as a massive naval and air force has been spotted around the entirety of Taiwan during a military exercise conducted by the People's Liberation Army, an incredibly serious incident that is requiring a large amount of attention by the Taiwanese armed forces as well as the United States armed forces that are in the region as well. At the exact same time, inside the Middle East, we have also been able to hear that the finalized plans for the strike against Iran have apparently been made, with Benjamin Netanyahu now arriving in Tel Aviv by helicopter to now speak with even further senior IDF officials to prepare for the final details and the final information and the final timetable for the strike that will be coming against the Islamic Republic of Iran here in the very near future. Meanwhile, we have also been able to hear that from inside of Korea, the North Korean soldiers that have been moved into the area near the Ukrainian border are not doing incredibly well, as the Ukrainian intelligence has stated that 18 North Koreans from the Democratic People's Liberation Army have ended up being captured near to the area of the Bryansk and Kursk border, with even more possibly being captured here in the near future, and a statement that not only are North Koreans operating the KN-23 missile launchers inside the Russian Federation, but an entire combat engineering unit, a brigade-sized unit, has been moved inside of the Dbass somewhere and is actually engaging in frontline activities against the Ukrainian armed forces within that area. We have absolutely breaking news from every single corner of the globe once again today, as tensions are once again incredibly high around the entirety of the world. But moving on into our first piece of news inside the Korean Peninsula, we have been able to hear that the situation has been getting very tense along the Korean DMZ, and it appears that the North Korean government is taking final actions and measures to once again ramp up the escalation to the highest it possibly can go. Just a day ago, we were able to hear that the North Korean government shut down all road and railroad crossings across the demilitarized zone. And now today, we are starting to hear that the North Korean government has issued orders to set the bridges with charges and to detonate every single one of them along the border. We were able to see video footage showing that these road and railroad connections were being blown up in between the two countries, and we've actually been able to get a pretty decent volume of this footage just over the past 8 hours since the incident occurred. We see one of the bridges being destroyed right here. A massive explosion completely destroying the bridge and its ability to link with South Korea. That's the end of that clip right there, and once again, a very interesting situation at that. We were also able to get more and additional video footage of this incident and how it occurred. So here's the clip once again, a bit of a longer video at that, showing us the explosion at this bridge. And we once again want to remind everyone that the tensions on the Korean Peninsula are incredibly high. We have been seeing a diplomatic tit-for-tat by both sides over the past few months, and it appears that that will not be subsiding anytime soon. To add a little bit to the tensions that we're seeing at the moment, the North Koreans have set up defensive positions along geographically advantageous areas of the DMZ, and right now, several thousand artillery pieces attached to several brigades of the Korean Liberation Army, or the North Korean Armed Forces, are currently on standby for the orders given to fire, meaning that these artillery pieces are ready to fire at any given moment and may commence firing here very soon if the order is issued. We can also once again see the camera footage here showing us the area around the DMZ and the kind of devastation that was caused by the demolition charges set by the North Koreans that destroyed the bridge. That's the end of that clip, but moving on from that and into our next one, we also got to see, once again, the detonation occurring. We actually also got to see here, really quickly, the North Korean armed forces on the northern side of the bridge detonating the charges. This video footage was actually not issued by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. It was actually issued by the South Koreans through the Yonhap News Agency. So this is the footage from the southern side of the border viewing north towards the Korean or the North Korean side of the DMZ. Moving on from that clip and into our last one, we can also see the bridge that was there that was destroyed. This is not the picture of it post-destruction. Post-destruction, the bridge doesn't exist, and the spans have been destroyed. But nevertheless, this was one of the bridges that was destroyed today, and it does appear that the North Koreans are starting to make serious actions towards South Korea here just over a very short while. Meanwhile, we have been able to hear that North Korea has sent 10,000 troops to Ukraine in the meantime, according to the Kyiv Independent, and it appears that this is an attempt to bolster Russian efforts to fight the war in Ukraine. A Western diplomat familiar with the matter told the Kyiv Independent on the 15th of October, today. We've been getting an idea that the North Koreans are starting to get a lot more openly hostile in the wide world, not only on the peninsula, but also around the entirety of the world, including in Eastern Europe inside of Ukraine. And it appears that the South Koreans may be having just about enough of this, as shots were fired towards the North Koreans today. We were able to hear that a South Korean naval vessel responded to the North Korean detonations by firing shots south of the maritime demarcation line. The maritime demarcation line is this line right here, just west of the Koreas, that spans out to the area of the Yeopmyeon Island right here. This is what we understand to be a wildly serious situation on the Korean Peninsula, and diplomatic tensions have very rarely risen to this kind of a height, unless if it was the very early 2000s, where we saw during that time artillery exchanges were actually conducted in between North and South Korea for a very small duration, which ended up resulting in dozens of casualties on both sides, although an official North Korean number has never been issued from that incident. Nevertheless, moving on from that, while situations are very dangerous within the Korean Peninsula, situations are also appearing to coalesce that are very concerning and somewhat dangerous within the area of the Strait of Taiwan, as we have been able to hear from the Republic of China, also called Taiwan today, that they have spotted 153 Chinese aircraft, 14 vessels of the Chinese Navy, and 12 other ships around the island today. They have deployed aircraft and naval vessels to monitor the situation. And this is not a part of the military war games that were being conducted by the People's Liberation Army yesterday, or the People's Liberation Army Navy, to be exact. We can see the specific statement issued by the Ministry of the National Defense of the Republic of China made today that was also stated in original Chinese, or Mandarin as it's called, and English. And we were able to see right down here to get you all the exact statement made by the Ministry of the National Defense: 153 PLA aircraft, 14 PLA-NM vessels, and 12 official ships operating around Taiwan were detected up until 6 a.m. today. 111 of the aircraft crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait and entered Taiwan's southwestern and eastern ADIZs. The ROC Armed Forces have monitored the situation and employed CAP aircraft, Navy vessels, and coastal missile systems in response to the detected activities. The period of counting is changed to 0500 October 14th to 0600 October 15th in order to specify the PLA assets deployed in their exercise. Some of the detected vessels and aircraft were also included in yesterday's report. But nevertheless, it does appear that Taiwan, also officially called the Republic of China, is starting to run into some very serious low-level coercion attempts that are being conducted by the larger nation on shore, the People's Republic of China, that is once again trying to force a armed reunification of the two nations. We will most likely see that this will not be happening anytime soon, but it is once again highlighting the low-level coercion attempts that are being made by the Chinese after persuasion and united front efforts have failed for decades up to this point. We will be waiting to see if the United States will be making any official actions here in the near time within the future, as we have seen in the past that U.S. Navy vessels have transited the Taiwan Strait to ensure that it is once again reminded to the Chinese that Taiwan is not to be considered a part of the People's Republic of China, and while the United States does not officially recognize the sovereignty of Taiwan as a nation, we do recognize the sovereignty of the Republic of China's government on the island of Taiwan, and will ensure that their sovereignty, the sovereignty of their government, will be ensured well into the future. Moving on from the Taiwan situation and further on over into the Middle East, we have also been able to hear some very interesting information giving us an idea that the Israeli strike is once again going to be happening quite soon, according to statements that we have been able to get today. We have been able to hear that the attack plan, according to most information put out by senior Israeli officials, including Defense Minister Gallant, has largely been ironed out, along with the timing as well. Final approval from Israel's Security Cabinet is required, but beyond that, we will most likely be be seeing that an Israeli strike against the Islamic Republic will be occurring incredibly soon. The Islamic Republic of Iran has largely been waiting for this attack and has already stated that if they are attacked by the state of Israel, they will respond with their very own attack in turn to the Israelis, largely ensuring that this sort of an exchange will continue and largely qualifying this on our channel as a low-intensity regional war at the moment. We will be waiting to see if this turns into a high-intensity regional war with a large amount of missiles and air targets in the area launching attacks on each other, but at the moment we do believe that this will remain low intensity due to the lack of logistical abilities of the Islamic Republic and also due to a weakened supply line and also most likely a high level of inefficiency found within the Islamic Republic's military, which has largely been untrained and really unbattle proven or non-battle proven since the end of the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s. But moving on from that and out of that area, we were able to hear that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, was arriving in Tel Aviv just a little while ago, and we were able to hear that he has now arrived at the secure facility near Tel Aviv this afternoon to conduct a security consultation amid preparations for the attack on Iran, according to Khan News. We will be seeing that this attack, once again, will most likely occur very soon. And beyond that, we don't really have a large amount of details. We can't tell you all what's exactly going to be hit. There are a lot of conflicting reports out there at the moment. We have heard that they will be striking at oil facilities in Iran. We've also heard that they will not be striking nuclear and oil. Some people are even suggesting that they may strike the nuclear facilities, and others don't really know at all. We really, to be entirely honest, have no idea how the Israeli attack is actually going to unfold. It may be somewhat small, it may be an incredibly large and overwhelming attack, and it may end up attempting to decapitate the Iranian government, may end up decapitating oil or nuclear abilities, or something else along those lines. We just will not know until the moment of the attack, but when that attack happens, we will be live on air immediately, making sure to cover all of the details that we have and also show all of the strike locations as quickly as we possibly can. Of course, time permitting and source permitting, of course. But moving on from that and on into the area of Ukraine, we have also been able to hear very bad news about the North Koreans in this area as well, moving them all the way across the world and into Western Europe, or specifically Eastern Europe, as we were able to hear today that the Ukrainian Intelligence Bureau has been able to locate and capture Korean deserters that have crossed the border from the Bryansk and Kursk regions and have entered the Ukrainian state. According to the information that we have, 18 North Korean soldiers have reportedly fled from positions near the Ukrainian border with Russia's Bryansk and Kursk regions. According to Ukrainian intelligence sources, Russian forces are now searching for the deserters while trying to hide the incident from higher command. But nevertheless, it does appear that the Ukrainian statement today is making it very clear that some North Korean soldiers have already entered custody, and it appears that the morale amongst the Democratic People's Republic of Korea's armed forces is wildly low, much more shockingly low than we would expect. We did expect that their morale would probably be fairly low, but we didn't expect that nearly an entire platoon worth of North Koreans would have already deserted, just in a few days' mention of them actually being active in the area and operating on the side of the Russian Federation. Another interesting thing that we've noted is that apparently the political commissars of the North Korean armed forces are not as zealous in their persecution of traitors or possible deserters than we originally believed. The number of 18 deserters in really the span of 72 hours, from what we want to understand, is wildly high. We don't even hear of desertation amounts that high from Russian forces. So it does appear that the North Koreans may actually be deemed combat ineffective due to the low morale and low unit cohesion that they are already starting to face once they've been committed just to border protection duties within the Bryansk and Kursk area. But moving on from that, we did get additional confirmation of the 18 Korean soldiers defecting from the Bryansk and Kursk oblasts. Apparently, these Korean soldiers were also the ones that were assisting with the launching of the KN-23 ballistic missiles that were supplied by North Korea. We will be waiting to get official picture and video evidence of these Koreans being captured to once again double down on the actual story and to make sure that it's completely verified. But considering that we have gotten a Ukrainian government statement, that suffices as actual credible information here on this channel, as our information credibility requirements, or really test, means that there has to be video or picture evidence of the incident, or that there has to be an official government statement confirming the information that we were speaking on, and confirming that we were able to meet the third test, meaning that there was an official government statement by Ukraine saying that they have captured North Koreans. We are going to be vetting this as a true story at the moment, but of course we will be waiting for additional video and picture evidence to come through to make sure that the story is sound and solid solid, 100%. But moving on from that and into the area of the Dbass, we have been able to hear that apparently 3,000 North Korean soldiers are actually inside of Ukraine fighting for the Russian Federation. Now, this is a completely different location than the one up in the Bryansk and Kursk oblasts, and from what we understand, these armed forces may actually be inside of the Donbass somewhere. We put this marker near Pokrovsk, but we're not really sure if they're near Pokrovsk or not. They may actually be just about anywhere inside of Ukraine at this moment. But it is very interesting to hear that the Ukrainian intelligence has confirmed that there's a whole other brigade, maybe the combat engineer brigade we heard about so long ago, that finally is inside of Ukraine. We haven't been able to get any video or picture evidence once again of them being there, but considering that a Ukrainian government source stated this information, we do have to confirm it as a true story for now without any video or picture evidence to actually confirm or corroborate the story. We will be waiting to see where these North Korean forces are, and hopefully once we start to see them on film, we will be able to gauge their combat effectiveness and also use this to extrapolate a great deal of information about the combat and effectiveness of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea's armed forces on the Korean Peninsula itself, especially considering that that may end up being a very dangerous situation here in the near future. Meanwhile, down in Grozny, we were finally able to get some police body cam footage of the major gas station explosion that occurred nearly 2 days ago. And it was very interesting to see because we never got to see it from this close. The explosion was literally right up on the firefighters. The firefighters appear to have survived, but here's the clip. And there's the explosion. And we're going to be muting that because it sounds as though there may actually be copyrighted music in the background. We can see the fire truck. We can now see the explosion from a distance, kind of giving you all the idea of the scale of the explosion. You can see the fire truck right there. And you can actually see that the fire truck almost, if it had just moved about 10 feet forward more, would have been enveloped by the actual fireball. Still a very interesting clip to see, and once again giving us a little bit of an additional glimpse into that massive gas station explosion that happened in Grozny that has been supposed to be connected to some sort of blood feud action that has been stated by Ramzan Kadyrov against certain members of the Russian State Duma. But nevertheless, that is all of the breaking news that we have today. I've got to thank every single one of y'all so much once again for watching, and I hope that we've been able to deliver a great deal of important news to y'all that we've been able to hear just over the past few hours. If y'all have enjoyed this news summary, I highly encourage y'all to subscribe. Not that it really means anything. Really, honestly, YouTube doesn't really care if we have a lot of subscribers or not. That's kind of how YouTube works these days, but it always makes us wildly happy, the folks here behind the channel, including myself, to see that y'all subscribe and really enjoy our content and want to see more of it. It gives us the kind of inspiration and encouragement to keep working really hard at this thing and to make sure that all of the news comes out every single day with the exact same kind of fact-checking and informational quality that we've been able to assure for about 965 days at this point. I would also like to make sure that if you do not want to subscribe, please hit the like button and leave a comment down in the comment section below. If you made it to this point in the video, go down there and just type Scrimpy, spelled SCRIMPY. Just go type that down in the comments section to let me know if you made it down there made it to this point in the video somehow and then wandered on down to the comments section and type that up because I get a pretty good laugh hearing everyone say Scrimpy in the chat. But beyond that, if you also enjoyed the channel and you would like to help these video projects to be possible on a daily basis, please make sure to go and support us on Patreon. The support is always appreciated. The link is in the description below. No one has to support the channel. We do this thing just because we want to, and whether y'all support it is kind of y'all's thing, but the support is greatly appreciated, and we always have to give a massive shout out to all of our patrons who are currently on Patreon supporting this channel because they help us to make these video projects possible each and every single day that they're here. And so a huge thanks to each and every one of y'all once again, the folks who subscribe, the folks who like, the folks who comment, and the folks on Patreon, because each and every one of y'all come together to make this channel possible every single day. And of course, I will see you all in the next one. Good luck and take care.